Dining plan or no dining plan? That is the question we ask ourselves as we book that Disney World package.
Welcome to Always Planning Disney, where planning is half the fun. I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Melissa.
On this channel, we talk through all of the details that go into making our vacations magical.
All right, so that dining plan. I did not get it last trip, but you did.
Yes, I got the quick service dining plan last trip. So the 2020 quick service dining plan, because that's the numbers we have to go off of. The dining plan has not returned yet, right? So at that time, the quick service dining plan was 2 quick service meals a day and 2 snacks a day, coming out at $55 per adult. And so that gave us a total of $770 for the 7 nights of the trip, because even though we were traveling as a family, we only had to pay for the grown-ups last trip. We didn't have to pay for our kiddo because we started our trip before he turned 3. So he was free for the entire trip. So for him, we did a combination of packing in food that we knew he would eat from grocery delivery. So I got stuff for peanut butter sandwiches. I got a bunch of individual milks and little, fruit and veggie pouches, some snacky stuff that he liked, that sort of thing. So he literally had a lunchbox that we brought into the parks. And then we would also sometimes share off our own plates. Occasionally we would order something just for him. And sometimes we would use our group's credits in order to do that. So that's kind of where the money lines up this trip. And that's why this was a good trip for us to try out the dining plan, because we could do so without the risk of paying for food that our child would not eat.
And when we did the dining plan, we did this years ago. This is 2015. And I also had one free child because he was 6 months old at the time. And then my other child was still a Disney child. They turn into adults very quickly over there. And I do not have the pricing from then. So I compared it to what it would be now for us. And we did the standard dining plan last time that we used one, which is 1 quick service meal a day, 1 table service meal a day with a drink now. You did not get an alcoholic beverage back when we had it last time, and 2 snack credits. And the 2020 prices there are about $78 per adult, and then $30 for children who are 10 and under. For us to do that, it would have been a whopping $1,851.78 for our 7 nights, which is a huge expense and probably why we did not opt for it, especially because we have one child who's being charged as an adult and one child who doesn't eat enough to warrant that. Just like you, we also did the grocery delivery. So we had things for peanut butter sandwiches, standard snacks, drinks, things that we knew he would definitely like. You want to talk about pros and cons of the dining plan?
Sounds good.
All right. So the thing that I like most about the dining plan is that it's prepaid. I really like paying for my Disney trip and then forgetting about it for months on end because you go and it feels free. So I like the prepaid aspect of it. When we got the dining plan, it pushed us to try more table service places because we had that credit. And in order to maximize it, we really did our research to find some of the more expensive ones that I think if we were paying out of pocket, we would have shied away from. So I really appreciated it for that. Also, now that drinks are included, that's pretty spectacular to have that tossed in there. A fancy Disney cocktail can be pricey.
Yes.
So the dining plan for us with those credits pooled together, yes, you get 1 quick service and 1 table service, or if you do the other option, you get 2 quick service meals per day. We could get a lot out of that because we already tend to split quick service meals or to pair a quick service entree with a snack. And so between all of our credits, we probably could use the dining plan for all of our dining at Disney. So those are the big pros for us. What do you like about it?
I have to say that we were sort of wishy-washy about whether we were going to get the dining plan at all, but drinks being included put it over the edge for us to try last trip, because both my husband and I do like to have a cocktail, a beer, a glass of wine, and they're so expensive at Disney World. I remember going to Disney World the trip before last, coming from Pittsburgh where we lived at the time, and they had Yuengling beers, which we could get for about $3 in Pittsburgh, and I think they were 9, maybe more than that at Epcot. And we're like,
Yeah.
no. So it was really nice to have that included in our dining plan last trip. And that made it feel like it was going to be worth the money when we were making the decision about it. It also just feels more indulgent to have things already paid for. It feels inclusive, and you can just go ahead and spend your credits. You're not spending dollars anymore because you already did that. I am someone who likes to feel like I am getting a deal. And that's not just at Disney, that's just who I am as a person. So I would not have paid $50 in cash for 2 breakfast meals and 2 mimosas at our resort. I would not have paid out of pocket for Be Our Guest breakfast, which is quite expensive, when I only booked that breakfast dining because I wanted to get castle pictures without a whole bunch of people around. I would not have paid cash for that if I didn't have the dining plan. But I was grinning like a fool when I checked out on both of those occasions. So it was great because it was included in our credits and already paid for. It's also a good fit for us because, as you may have heard in our previous episode, my husband is a bottomless pit who loves good food. And so he can be kind of expensive to feed at Disney World when he wants to eat all the things. And when I can just say, all right, you got a whole bunch of snack credits, go at it, it works out really well, and it does save us money. The snack credits last trip were really easy to use because of Festival of the Arts booths. So that was a big draw for us, as we knew we were going during a festival that was going to have a lot of good food that we wanted to try and that would qualify for snack credits as opposed to meal credits. So we felt like, again, we were going to be able to get the bang for our buck.
Yeah, I also appreciate the snack credits when it comes time to show up at Epcot, because there are so many ways to use them there. And you never want to leave snack credits behind, which is always a risk when you have that dining plan, because 2 snacks a day pulled between a party can be a lot of snacks. But
Yes.
so that's one of my cons, actually, is there was always a level of stress for me tracking those snack credits to see what we had used, what we still had left, and then also just with trying to maximize it overall. I mentioned that the 2020 price for an adult for 1 quick service, 1 table service was about $78 per day. And if you are doing a really big either signature dining experience or a character meal or all you can eat, those can be $60 a plate, in which case you're probably really getting a lot of value out of it. However, I have found that we don't eat that every single day, and we don't want to have a character experience meal every single day. It takes a lot of time both to get to there and to enjoy it. So we, in trying to maximize it, I found that we don't always. I've run the numbers twice without the meal plan, and we spend about $750 to $900 total through the trip. So it's a big savings for us to opt out of it, and that's probably largely because I do have that one non-eater who is perfectly happy eating a peanut butter sandwich 2 meals a day for the 7 days that we are there.
Yeah, there's some definite drawbacks for us as well. And one of them is sort of the impact on eating patterns that trying to use the dining plan has. So if you want to just grab a drink and wander around the park with your drink and not have a meal with it, right? Like not order a meal at the same time as you order a drink, that's out of pocket. So I'm less likely to do it. So I might want to grab, like a cool cocktail from Pandora, and I would have to pay out of pocket for it. And so then I'm probably going to be like, well, I guess I'll just wait and like order something wherever we're having dinner tonight. So I'd like to petition for drinks to count as snack credits. I'd like to start an official petition to Disney for that because that's how they're functioning in the meals anyway. I know they're very unlikely to do that, but I sure would like it if they did, so that I could have a little more flexibility in the way that I'm using my dining plan. I was also excited to use snack credits for venti lattes. AJ from DFB always says, like, if you're going to use a snack credit for Starbucks, make it a venti. And I was going to make it a venti. But I found that there's not a really good way to do that, because we were staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge. They did have espresso drinks available, but they weren't very good. They were coming from one of those like automatic machines that makes them instead of a proper espresso machine with a barista. And so I didn't really like what I was getting at the hotel. And then if you're going to the Starbucks or the Joffrey's in the park, you have to wait in a long line to get your coffee. And then it's not like you can bring it on the ride. So if you're making it a venti, you're going to have to split with someone in order to down that venti before you get on your ride. So there just wasn't a good way to work out my venti lattes that I was so looking forward to with my snack credits. There's also the flip side of my need to feel like I'm getting a deal. So I was like, all right, everybody, if you're gonna buy a bottled beverage, like just pay out of pocket because it's not a good use of the snack credit. But then you wind up with a lot of snack credits to burn. So just use the darn snack credit for the Powerade or whatever. So that was sort of again, a mental block for me. And then of course, I also have a non-eater at the moment, and next trip, he's old enough that he needs to be on the dining plan. So that's gonna be a big part of our decision-making is his eating status.
Yeah, and my son's eating status really, I think, is the deciding factor for us, which is next trip. I don't think we'll be doing the dining plan. I mean, I'm still going to look at it and weigh it and reconsider it, of course, but unless my son starts like suddenly starts eating a whole lot more and a much wider variety of foods, we're just not going to get the value out of it. And also, I noticed that on our trips, when we go and plan and do things how we want to do it, we usually only go for 4 table service meals. And with the dining plan where you get a table service every day, it would push us towards doing that. And sometimes we prefer the flexibility of not having a table service meal that we have to pay it, watch the clock, make sure we get there in time, plan the day around it. And sometimes we want some calmness with our meal and we'll opt for what we refer to as a picnic. We did this at Caribbean Beach last time. We got quick service from Caribbean Beach late at night and we walked the resort, found a bench, and we sat there and ate. We were the only people. Stars were out. We could look at the water, the hammocks. It was lovely. And it's much more relaxing than sitting down and having the full table service experience, which we usually use as a break. We get to sit down, we get to be served. But sometimes the table service can be a little hyped at Disney, some of those locations. So it isn't really a break. We like the flexibility of getting to do what we want to do. I think I would consider the dining plan on an adult only trip. I don't know if that's ever going to be a part of my recent future, but otherwise, I think I am perfectly happy tucking some money away on a Disney gift card when I pay for the trip. So I have that prepaid feel and just get our food off of that card.
And you can always get the discounted Disney gift cards at like Costco and Sam's Club, Target Red Card, like all that stuff. So that would be an added bonus to get a little discount or cash back or whatever.
Yeah.
For us, I think there are so many factors that are still sort of up in the air that it's going to depend on a lot of things, whether we get the dining plan next time or not. We'd really like to get the dining plan again because we do feel like we get our money's worth. We do like having some drinks with our meals. This time we'd like to get the standard plan instead of the quick service plan because we do want to do more table service meals next trip, whether or not we have the dining plan. We found that we were spending around the same amount of time on a meal, whether it was table service or quick service, just because of the time that you spend waiting for your quick service meal and finding a spot and eating is all about the same. And those table service locations, they're really meant to turn those tables quickly. So we felt like it kind of came out in the wash in terms of time. And we'd like to have that anchor point in our day, have a chance to sit down in the air conditioning, all of that stuff. Although your picnic idea sounds absolutely lovely. And I would also like to do some of that. So that's one consideration. I'm also going to be watching the Festival of the Holidays menus this year because we're planning to go during the Festival of the Holidays. And I'd like to see if there's a whole bunch of stuff that we want to try in those festival booths, such that it would be nice to have snack credits in order to do that. So that'll be a factor, how appealing that is. To me in particular, because I think we can all recognize now my husband's going to eat well no matter what's going on in those festival booths.
Mhm.
I'm also going to need to see what my kiddos eating looks like when we're closer to the trip. And since we're renting DVC points, most likely we won't have to decide so early because we aren't booking an entire package where you have to decide on your dining plan. We can book that through our DVC connection much later on. So we can get a sense of whether he's getting more adventurous or whether we'll be doing peanut butter sandwiches again. And then the last consideration will be what our room setup looks like, because we're traveling with my folks again. And we aren't sure, as I mentioned in our DVC episode, we aren't sure whether we're going to be going with a 2-bedroom villa or 2 studio rooms. If we're all in a 2-bedroom, then we would all need to be on the dining plan. And it's not really worthwhile for my folks. They're just not big enough eaters to warrant the dining plan. So if we do a 2-bedroom villa, we aren't going to be doing the dining plan. Whereas if we do 2 studios, then that's something that we might consider for just our family.
So here's a question related to DVC points and dining plans. We're looking at renting points as well as one of our options, which would start at the 11 months before. And then how much time, I'm guessing you could just add a dining package any time before you left, right? I'm sure Disney would gladly take my money.
I don't know how it works when you go through the rental sites, because for us, since we were going through a family member, we didn't book our dining plan until like a month before our trip, because we finally decided, yeah, we want to go ahead and do the dining plan. And we had to have my aunt, who we were booking through, book it for us. So we couldn't do it ourselves because it's tied to the hotel reservation. She needed to do it for us. So I'm not sure how that works when you go through one of those big websites. If it is something you have to have decided at the time of booking so that the person you're renting from just does it all at once, or if it is something you can add on later, that would be something to check out.
That'll have to be part of my research when I get closer to deciding if I'm doing DVC point rental or not. And then also, of course, what my kids are or are not eating at the time. It's the deciding factor.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know in the comments if you get the dining plan or not and why. And remember to like and subscribe to plan along with us.